Today's Philadelphia Eagles Now is presented by Roan. You can get 20% off your entire order site-wide by heading to roan.com/chatsports. High-quality menswear. Their commuter collection is awesome. I'm wearing their commuter shirt. See for yourself and save some money at roan.com/chatsports and upgrade your wardrobe in the process. So welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now, everybody, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in. Appreciate all of you for rocking with us. And what I want to talk about today is the fact that the Tennessee Titans, with their new general manager in Ran Carthon, who goes to Nashville from San Francisco, has taken over that franchise. They have released multiple players today, clearing up a bunch of money on their cap, including the release of Robert Woods, released by the Titans today in a money-saving move, which saves Tennessee about $12 million. And stay tuned, some interesting notes on the Eagles' defensive coordinator search, and Miles Sanders hinting that he wants to return to the Birds in free agency. But with Robert Woods, I think he's an interesting target here for Philadelphia once free agency begins in a couple of weeks in March. And I think that the Eagles, and I've made this be known, need to upgrade wide receiver 3. There's no question they have one of the better wide receiver duos in the National Football League with A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith. They were great all year. They were phenomenal in the playoff run. They were great in the Super Bowl. But wide receiver 3 has held that unit down a little bit because Quez Watkins, we keep waiting on him to have this breakout campaign, and really only he's served as a vertical threat as compared to being a go-to option out of that slot spot or at that wide receiver 3 option. And he continues to be somewhat underwhelming, and I'm tired of waiting for him to actually break out. And as far as Robert Woods goes, he's broken out a couple of times throughout his NFL career, and he went on a fantastic stretch for a few years there with the Los Angeles Rams. Before that, good player out of USC with the Buffalo Bills. A year ago here in 2022, though, wasn't that good of a player. 53 catches, 527 yards, 2 touchdowns, average yards per catch of 9.9. But is there a reason? Because Robert Woods didn't have a good quarterback situation with the Tennessee Titans. In fact, I think there are reasons that back up why Woods didn't have a good 2022, and I think that his role could expand with Philadelphia in this offense, and he'd be unleashed to a certain degree. Ryan Tannehill was injured, and he's just a mediocre quarterback. Malik Willis was just awful, and Josh Jacobs has been a journeyman backup for a reason. But Robert Woods has been able to be a consistent producer oftentimes throughout his NFL career. Now, he did tear his ACL a couple of years ago, but you look at the stretch that he went on from 2017 to 2020. I'm not saying he's going to have this production. I'm not saying he's going to show up, show out, and really turn up in this fashion with Philadelphia. Here's the thing, though. He doesn't need to. In 2017, 85 targets, 56 grabs, 781 yards, 5 touchdowns. Year after that, really starts to come into his own as one of the better go-to wide receivers in the NFL. 129 targets, 90 catches, 936 yards to go along with 6 touchdowns. And then he continued that ascent with Sean McVay. Had a career year in 2019, 1,100 receiving yards on 90 grabs. The targets went up once again all the way to 139 with 2 touchdowns. And the year after that in 2020, 129 targets, 90 catches, 936 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And you can see the consistent theme here. 2018, 2019, 2020, it was the games played. And before the ACL tear, Robert Woods was going off, and he was a really good wide receiver. He tears his ACL during that Super Bowl season for the Rams. He gets shipped out to the Tennessee Titans, and because of the quarterback instability, I believe that's why he was a little bit underwhelming. But in this offense, I do believe that Robert Woods would be perfectly suited to be wide receiver number 3 within this organization, and that's why if I'm the Eagles and I need to upgrade wide receiver 3, and with Robert Woods now being available, I would certainly be interested. Now, a lot more to get to on the show. First, though, Philadelphia Eagles Now, brought to you and presented by Roan. Upgrade your wardrobe, add some spice to your closet with Rhone. Men's closets were due for a radical reinvention, and it was Rhone that stepped up to the challenge. Their commuter collection, the most comfortable, breathable, flexible set of products known to man, and here's why. They have products for every occasion. Rhone helps you get ready for any occasion with the commuter collection, which offers the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, and polos. You never have to worry about what to wear when you have the Rhone commuter collection. Mobility is everything. These shirts have this stretchable fabric that's really comfortable as well, and looking good is easy, right? Easier with Rhone. With the wrinkle release technology, wrinkles disappear as you stretch and wear the products. It's that easy. They also have odor-free technology, so the commuter collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Like if I'm on air at Chat Sports and I need a shirt to wear, I throw on the commuter shirt. So head to Rhone.com/chatsports. Use the promo code ChatSports to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off at RHONE.com/chatsports. Use the code ChatSports. It's time to find your corner office comfort. We're going to put that link in the comment section. We're going to put it in the description of this video. Rhone, a fabulous sponsor here on Philadelphia Eagles. Now, with Robert Woods, he does have the flexibility to play outside and inside. And during his prime, he was cooking DBs with really good footwork, slippery going in and out of his routes. He wouldn't be needed to be in that role within this Eagles offense. Instead, you put him in that slot. He gets matched up against some linebackers, against some nickel corners, and I do believe that while he might not get back to the production that he had with the Los Angeles Rams, he can certainly cook some DBs out of that slot position and be a nice little go-to security blanket for Jalen Hurts. You look at the Eagles wide receiver production here in 2022. It was awesome. A.J. Brown, career year, most receiving yards in the history of the franchise. DeVonta Smith set the record for the most receptions in franchise history. But the big question mark, Quez Watkins. He has that training camp speed in which everybody likes to deem him a training camp breakout star that once the regular season comes, makes a couple of plays here and there, and then he falls silent. Now, he did admit after the year he was dealing with an injury, but his technique was bad on that deep ball from Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl, which could have won the Eagles the game, and he's somewhat limited as a receiver. Now, if you sign Robert Woods, you can still have Quez Watkins on this team as that vertical threat to stretch the field and stretch the defense up and down. So you can still have Quez on this team. By bringing in Robert Woods, though, you bulk up that receiver unit. And really, you're starting to look at some prototypes of which types of wide receivers are available. Is it a Jarvis Landry who you want to go after, who we talked about last week? Is it a guy like Robert Woods? I would side with the guy like Robert Woods, who I do think you'd be able to get on the cheap. So what do you think, Bird Gang? Should the Eagles sign him? S for sign down in the comment section. P for pass. Let us know. We appreciate your feedback and treat it like a 94.1 WIP Sports Talk Radio call-in line down in that comment section. All right, coming up next on the show, Eagles interviewing another interesting defensive coordinator candidate, and Miles Sanders hinting on Instagram that he wants to stay with the Eagles. But first, make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is your off-season home for daily Eagles talk that's both informative, entertaining, and it's also consistent. So lock us in. Fly, Eagles, fly. Hit that sub button. We appreciate the support. As for the update on the Eagles defensive coordinator search, some interesting names continue to be thrown into the mix, and one interesting name is out of the mix. This coming from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, that the Eagles and Jim Leonhard, who was the Wisconsin defensive coordinator and interim coach, mutually decided they would not move forward with his defensive coordinator candidacy. Per league sources, Leonhard had planned to undergo hip surgery and sit out coaching for a year, but when the Eagles job opened up, both sides had interest in discussing the position, which they did last week. Ultimately, they decided it wasn't the right time. So he's out for the Eagles. As for who is in, another interesting name, as there continues to be a theme here that we're about to talk about. Dan Matthews covers the Georgia Bulldogs. He said that according to sources, Georgia co-defensive coordinator and inside linebackers coach Glenn Schumann is going to talk today, as of us recording this on Wednesday, as I'm having trouble talking on today's show, with the Eagles about their vacant defensive coordinator position. This is him right here. if you've seen him on the sideline, does have a lot of energy. He's also very young, and there's a theme here with some of the defensive coordinators that Nick Sirianni is looking at. What is it? A lot of these defensive coordinators are younger. Now, that makes sense for a couple of reasons. Nick Sirianni is a younger coach. He hired Shane Steichen, who was young. He hired Jonathan Gannon. Nick Rallis took the Cardinals defensive coordinator position. He's not even 30 yet. He becomes the youngest coordinator in the National Football League, and a lot of these candidates for Philadelphia also ripe in age. Now, Vance Joseph, 50 years old, set to interview, if he hasn't already, with Philadelphia to take over for Jonathan Gannon. Jim Leonhard, 40 years old. Obviously, he's out of the mix, as we said. Sean Desai, Temple alum, T for Temple U, 39 years old. Chris Shula, the relation to obviously Don and Mike Shula is there. He's 39 years old. Jesse Minter is a guy who I like, 37 years old. DC with Michigan. They lost a couple of guys in the first round of the NFL draft a year ago, but still Michigan comes back with a really good vaunted defense, and they end up making it to the college football playoff. And now Glenn Schumann, the youngest of them all, at 32 years old. If you have confidence in Sirianni to build his staff, type his initials down in the comment section. I want to see if people are actually confident in Nick Sirianni after losing Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon, that he can continue to move forward by making some really crucial, important, pivotal hirings at that OC and DC spot. Lastly, let's round out today's show with this. Miles Sanders on Instagram, hinting that he wants to return to the Eagles in free agency. He shared this on his Instagram story. And it was his quote from a couple of weeks ago, in which we talked about here on Eagles Now, when he said, "I love Philly, just bring me back. I hope that they bring me back." And it's easy to see why Miles Sanders would want to return to this organization. They're going to continue to have a great offensive line, regardless of what happens with Jason Kelce, because I think that Cam Jurgens is going to be able to come in, and he was the Jason Kelce replacement, tabbed by Jason Kelce himself. This offense is suited and tapped into running backs being successful because of the RPO game that they run with Jalen Hurts and the uncertainty from defenses as to who's going to carry the football. Will it be Jalen Hurts who fakes it? Will he keep it? Will he run it? Will he hand it off to the running back? But schematically, this Eagles offense, and they're going to continue to run the same scheme, is running back friendly. This is a running back heavy class in free agency. So really, it comes down to how much Howie Roseman is going to want to pay Miles Sanders. But some other guys can really set the market and either increase the price tag for Miles Sanders if they reset the market, or lower the price tag, because Saquon and Josh Jacobs are going to get paid. David Montgomery and Tony Pollard could as well, depending on if some of those players are franchise tagged. So if some teams out there just don't want to pay a lot of money to running backs, or if Saquon, Jacobs, and some of those other guys do get paid a lot of money, that could in turn lower the asking price for Philadelphia to bring back Sanders on a pretty team-friendly deal. If it's anything north of $8 million, I probably wouldn't do it, but I'd like to see Miles Sanders return. Continuity at that running back spot, somewhat important. Continuity on your roster, important. The Eagles don't have a lot of continuity within their coaching staff, and the player that Miles Sanders is, coming off a career year. He's still in his mid-20s. For the first time, he surpassed 1,000 rushing yards and did that and even more. Nearly 1,300 yards, had 11 touchdowns. That ranked top 5 among all running backs in the NFL, and he was legitimately a top 5 running back this year. The thing is that with these Eagles running backs, Boston Scott going to be a free agent, but Kenneth Gainwell was getting a lot of traction and a lot of playing time throughout the playoffs. He's under contract on his rookie deal. Could you draft a running back and pay him a sliver of the price of Miles Sanders? Could you bring in another free agent like a Kareem Hunt and get them for a fraction of the price? These are the types of conversations that Howie Roseman and this front office are going to have, and that's the reality of what the running back position is heading into 2023. It's become a replaceable and expendable position. So with that, get in the shoes of Howie Roseman. Go to the negotiating table. How much would you pay Miles Sanders per year to return? And that's the final offer. Let me know down in the comment section. As always, we appreciate all of you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.